Manushi, such a pleasure to meet you and such good feedback coming for your performance. Has it sunk in?
Yeah, now it's all sinking. Now it's all sinking in.
So tell me something, what was tougher, prepping for Miss World or actually prepping for your first Bollywood debut?
That would be a tough one. See, both were very, very new. I'd say that Miss World was quicker. तो उसमें ज़्यादा पता नहीं चला, वो निकल गया. Because, Miss India, and then within, I remember I auditioned at Miss India. I had 1 week to prepare for the North Zone. Then within a month, I was at the Miss India finals. And then after Miss India, I think in 2.5, 3 months, I had to leave for Miss World. That was very quick. So, of course, because we had to finish so much in such a short period of time, that had its own set of challenges. Film was obviously much, much tougher, very different from what I've ever done, because at the end of the day, Miss World was also about, kind of being the best version of yourself and presenting your best version in front of the judges and in front of the world. I think that was a very different journey. Here it was to understand acting, to get into the skin of a character. And of course, this was a much, much longer, there was a prep, there was auditions, then getting finalized, and then a whole few months of prep, and then of course the shoot, and the shoot was heavy because, it's a period film. It wasn't an easy film to shoot. And then it went into, of course, there was a lockdown, so, it just got stretched. I'd say putting the whole experience together, this has been, of course, slightly tougher.
So now when you look back at your audition, because now going forward, there'll be many more films to come. You are going to look at that phase as like, yeah, that happened. Now, how do you look back? I know 10 years later, we shall again recap.
I don't look at my audition ever because I know how good and how bad I was. But that's the first time, and they gave me some really heavy scenes. I remember my first audition was, I remember the feedback that came, and, it went like, you look great on camera. The camera loves you. You sound so good, your voice. You have a good hold on Hindi, which is great. Acting, we have to like figure out and work on. And I told them, I said, I don't know how to act. This is something I can't just come to an audition and, 1-2 दिन में prepare करके I can't do it. That will take some time. But what really, I think what really gave me some confidence was the fact that I remember the first time that Adi Sakshi had met me, he spoke to me and he told me, I think you'll be a very good actor. And then, of course, and Dr. Saab, I think when he saw the audition and finally when I actually met him, I said, you've seen my auditions. He said, it's okay. He said, auditions are not generally just for seeing how well you can act. It's for seeing potential. He said, my director, acting mein kara dunga. I just wanted to see that. He said, for me, what I'm looking for, I found it. So I think, of course, they understood the fact that I wasn't trained. I never watch audition tapes, but wo ho gaya. I always tell everyone, I said, please don't see my audition tapes. But I think everyone's auditions, the first audition is always a funny one.
But who would have thought? A doctor was all...
Yeah, sorry.
No. Sorry, what were you saying?
Some later on when I did a couple of more different scenes and all, then I could see that I'm improving. Then I could see, okay, it's getting better. I'm understanding it better.
And who would have thought a doctor who was all set to dissect people is now an actor? I think for yourself, did you envision this journey?
Now I'm dissecting characters and scripts. I'm still doing it.
Yeah, good. It's funny. I'm sure when you were prepping for your, medical sciences, you wouldn't have thought that billboard pe I'll be one of them very soon. So, how is it? How has the family taken this complete change in career?
They are happy. I think they are more excited than anyone else. I think they've been really happy for me throughout. And they were the ones who gave me that confidence that if there's an opportunity, if there are films that are coming your way, then don't be stuck at the idea that just because you are a medical student and that's what you planned for your life, doesn't mean that plans can't change.
Absolutely.
And I think they've been the happiest. They've been my biggest support throughout, whether it was coming to a city like Bombay, kind of like, building a life here, or whether it was learning, discovering. Of course, the fact that I was very new, not from the film industry, came with its own set of challenges. So during that time, it was, of course, my parents who were there for me. Not only my parents and my siblings, making sure that I'm okay and everything is fine. And even for them, it was something very new that they were discovering along with me. So that way, I think they've been a very, very big support. And now finally, they were telling me, they said that we've all worked hard with you. Now we'll all enjoy the fruits. So while I'm busy promoting, going around, they are at home and they're enjoying, they're loving, they're watching my interviews. They've seen the film multiple times. So I think they're very excited and they're very, very happy.
Coming to your character, I mean, though she belongs to the 12th century, she was a warrior princess. I mean, she was educated, skilled in the fighting, skilled in the art, as well as a very independent, strong-headed woman who chose to take the decisions that she did, whether it was for the man she loved or whether it was towards the end to protect herself. So when it came to you, did you kind of resonate with this character, and especially for a woman who is in the 21st century, whose life, thinking, everything is so far removed? Or kuch history lessons bhi padhe the kya?
Well, whatever history that I've studied was still the 8th standard. Not the 8th, till the 10th standard. I've studied history till 10th. And there was not a lot that was said. Actually, there was nothing that was said about Nayogita. And not much that has been said about Samrat Prithviraj Chauhan. Of course, there's a lot of folklore, there's a lot of storybooks that talk about her, that have spoken about how she eloped with him, when she garlanded his statue, during her swamvar. So I was familiar with that story. So for me, when I came to know that I was being considered for this film, it was even more exciting. And there are different versions of how many times he defeated Muhammad Ghori, and then exactly, what happened. So there are different versions to that story as well. So I've listened to more of that. I've heard more of that through folklore. Of course, it was a very important, I still remember in history where they used to talk, if I'm not mistaken, it was in the 8th standard, if I'm not mistaken, 7th or the 8th standard, no, 7th standard, I think. Where I still remember they used to talk about how, of course, the slave dynasty started in Qutbuddin Aibak, Iltutmish, and everyone else, then finally, I do remember that shift happened. So, that's the little bit that I've read. That I had read, and of course, because for this film we were using Prithviraj Raso as a reference. It's an epic poem. There's a lot in it that could have been studied. So that was something that all of us took as reference, and that was something which I took as reference to understand my character. I have not read the entire book. But I've read the parts where, especially all the important parts where. How Chand Bardai describes Nayogita. There's a very beautiful poem that he's written describing her character. And when you read, there's a lot more than you can understand than what you can show in 2 hours of a film. So there was a lot of research that went into understanding the character through Prithviraj Raso after the film. Before that, I'd only heard about like whatever the popular folklore was around these characters, and so I think growing up, we're all very familiar with these characters, but we've not really read much about them in history. So I think that was understanding, according to Prithviraj Raso, what exactly happened. So it was more of that.
But did it resonate as,
of course,
young lady belonging to the 21st century vis-a-vis a woman in the 12th century,
I think, and I think what surprised me the most when I read the Raso was when I understood whatever I had to through the Raso was the fact that the struggles of a society have not been very different, even though it was the 12th century. Whether it's the woman fighting for the right to choose, the right to decide for herself. I think even today, not only women, but even men fight for that right. And she kind of managed to do that, and she went against everyone, whether it was her father, her own king, to marry the man that she loved. And I'd say that a lot of times, when I read the script for the first time, I felt that she's a rebel, but why would she fall in love with her father's enemy? and someone she's never met. But I think it took it. So there's a lot of understanding of that character, and it took me a while to understand that she's not a rebel. She's not a rebel without a cause. And I think that's the beauty of that character. And even today, we see so many women. Of course, feminism has become a really big debate today. But I'd say that there are a group of feminists who aren't rebels without a cause, and I think that's what I love seeing. Who are fighting for their rights, or who are fighting for the equality of women, who have a goal. They're not men shaming, or they're not interpreting feminism as that, but their interpretation is more as to how do we give women the right to choose for themselves, give them an equal status in society. So I think that's something that fight has been happening now after the film, and of course after whatever research that we got to know while making the film. It's been happening since centuries now. And what I loved about the character was that even though a lot of things would be very, very dated, the world is very different. It's the 12th century. The way society was, a lot of things are very, very different. But people are very similar, like I said before. And the fact that this character has gone through a struggle which most women go through, I think that was one point where I felt that girls would somewhere relate to her and somewhere be able to understand her as well. So, so yes, I mean, there's a lot of relatability, and there's a lot of, and in a lot of ways, this character will resonate with people today.
We have a hashtag complete care for sensitive skin. So what does Manushi do for her skin? Or what is it that you
for
learned?
My skin.
Yeah, what do you do for your skin? Something that you learned, a hack that you learned that you didn't know.
I think layering your skincare, which is something my stylist recently taught me. She's a lot into skincare. But my skincare is very, very basic. And what I've learned over time is that less is more. The simpler your skincare, the better. Don't complicate it too much. Also, I have a sensitive skin, so I don't like to put too much of. I don't like to try too many new things. But I'd say less is more, and whatever skincare that you're using, always layer it.
What was it like working with Akshay Kumar? One thing about him that has struck me is he starts work early in the morning, crack of dawn when the world is just like in deep slumber, and will come out. Unke promotions is 6 baje shuru hote the back in the day. So what was it like working with him and his time zones?
Well, I think the script mostly required us to wake up early because we had to shoot in sunlight. So I remember I used to be on set. My call times would be like 5:30 a.m., 6 a.m. So that's when I'd be on set. And of course, my character took a little longer to get ready with all the costume and everything that I had to wear. So I'd reach the set in the dark when everyone would still be like, they would be setting up all the lighting, still deciding the shot. So I'd be the first actor to enter to reach sets. But yeah, of course, I've been an early riser so it was a relief for me that he also is someone who likes to finish work early, start early and finish early. And the script, I mean, of course, our scenes required sunlight, so we had to finish by 5 p.m. or 5 p.m. So we had to start early. So we should start at sunrise and finish before sunset.
And he's known, for his fighting skills. You also had to learn fighting skills. So what was that like?
Well, my action was mostly around stunts, whether it was jumping on the horse, jumping into the kund, the fire pit. So I think my stunts were more about understanding posture, body language, strengthening your core, your back, because there's a pulley that takes you up, and it's not easy. I remember at the end of the song Yodha, I had to jump into a 20 feet deep pit. And of course, when I was doing it, there wasn't any fire over there. But the fact that I had to get the posture right, my landing had to be right. I was landing on a mattress, but I think all of that, I was for 4 hours, 3.5, 4 hours, I was just on that pulley. So that's a little physically exhausting for sure.
I can imagine.
So I didn't have fighting scenes per se. Mine is more of verbal fighting if you watch the film.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of action when it came to going to war. and physically fighting. My action was more about jumping on a horse. You know, we had to gallop through this crowded street. So I've never done twin riding before. So that's another challenge, especially when you're sitting behind and you're not holding the reins. So it's even you get even more nervous. They said, and I remember the stunt director, he told me, sir was like, you have to sit like how you sit behind someone on a bike. And I said, I don't know how to sit behind someone on a bike. And by the time like the shot was ready, by the time I said that, they were like ready to shoot. I said, okay, what do I do? But because I had done horse riding as a kid, so I think that kind of helped me through that sequence. Yeah.
So abhi debut mein to aapne kar diye period piece. Now the period dramas are going to come as a breeze for you. You know, and I'm sure, I mean, to have a medical story, you will be the perfect person to play a doctor, because that will also come with ease now. So now I have questions that have been sent by your fans. So who have asked this, what was the first time, what was the reaction when you saw yourself first time on screen, and whose reaction were you most surprised?
Well, on screen as in the theater or on a monitor?
In the theater, for you on the monitor, in the theater, from the family, whose reaction you were most surprised by?
I think the first thing is that I watched a little bit of the film before the color correction and a lot of VFX that had been done. And I still remember I really liked it. I was very excited, and that's my very, very first experience of understanding, okay, this is what we shot on set and this is how it translates and it looks on screen. So that was a very different experience. I didn't have much of a reaction that day. And I was just looking at myself because I didn't know how I acted. And I still couldn't form an opinion, I remember. And I said, how can I look at myself and say that I've done a good job or not? I said, this is something very, very different. But I remember the first time when the film was complete and we did our very first screening in Delhi. That's the first time I saw the entire film and I loved it. I said that no bias here. I know how hard all of us have worked on the film, but absolutely no bias. I think it's a wonderful film. Very well made, very well researched. I loved the kind of VFX and the kind of art direction also that was done on the film, and you can actually appreciate it, whether they're showing Delhi or Ajmer or Kannauj. Every single thing, even a carving on the wall is so well researched and so well done. I think that's something that you really get to appreciate when you watch the film. I loved it, and I went there because I told myself, I said, whatever you had to do, you've done. You can't control it now. So just watch the film, enjoy. And I think I really enjoyed. The reaction that I was waiting for the most was what would come, what would happen once my family watches the film. I knew that they'd obviously love it because, it's my film, so they'd also have a bias towards it. But they were very happy. I think they were very excited. They really liked the film. They loved it. And I remember my father told me, he said, I thought you'd do a decent job, but you've done better than what I'd imagined you'd do. The one reaction that I was waiting for was from my sister and my brother-in-law, because they are both self-proclaimed film critics. And I think my brother-in-law can be quite critical of the films that he watches. And he liked the film. I think that was the surprising bit, because I remember he had come with me to the first screening in Delhi. And I asked him, I said that, what did you think? And he said, I really liked the film. So that was one thing that I considered for that to be a big win for me.
Absolutely. What is your biggest food fetish?
My biggest food fetish? For the longest, it used to be sweet. I think I used to have I had a major sweet tooth. Off late, it's been a food fetish.
Yeah.
I listened to food fetish. Oh, I can't, I find it very, very difficult to eat green leafy stuff. Even though I've not tasted it, I remember growing up in the north, winter में साग बहुत बनता है. And I had a pact with my mom, and I'd never tasted saag. But as a kid, I'd completely made up my mind, and I told her that I'll eat whatever you give me. Please don't give me saag. And I don't know I don't know anything that's green, and the way it looked, I just couldn't.
Wow, there speaks somebody who's like one of the fittest people we have here. Describe yourself in a hashtag.
Describe myself in a hashtag.
In a hashtag, which is a hashtag you want should follow Manushi Chillar. अपना hashtag आज coin कर दो यार.
Hashtag Manushi loves to learn.
Your secret talent that no one knows about.
My secret talent that no one knows about. I would like to say acting. I mean, it's already out there. My secret talent that no one knows about is I bake very well.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
And I hope she eats her baking too, because looking at you, लगता है आप नाप तोल के खाते हो. Weirdest word in English that according to you, whenever you hear it, you do the eye roll.
Word in English?
Weirdest word in English that you cannot fathom. Why do people have that word?
Weirdest word in English that I cannot fathom? I don't think any word. Like, what is the weirdest word in English?
यार मेरे लिए तो है, मुझे तो समझ नहीं आता लोग क्यों कहते हैं.
That's not a word.
I know, but it's like you write to somebody, you'll get a response. क्या है?
Like in texting, yeah, I think I am right. That's very annoying. Okay. Like, is it an okay? Is it a not okay? It's okay.
Get that? Okay. So, what does Manushi do at duty free? If we catch you at duty free, what will we see you doing?
I think mostly shopping for skincare and makeup.
Thank you so much. So now what can we expect next, and who is on your wish list? You made a dhamakedar debut. After the world is at your feet. Literally, the world has been at your feet, but Bollywood also is at your feet.
I'd say my wish list would be to work with as many directors and in as many films as I can. To learn, to grow, to get better at acting, and to do as many characters, and to do a lot of characters that live with people for time. I think for an actor, that's what I find like most interesting. You know, in an actor's life, if they're able to do a few characters that live with people. Any
particular actor or director that you really want to?
I would love to work with, of course, Sanjay Leela Bhansali sir. I would love to work with Anand L. Rai sir. He already knows that. I'd love to work with Rajamouli. So I'm a big fan of his direction. And films are a director's medium. You know, I think it's the directors that make a very big difference.
Awesome. So all the very best. Looking forward to seeing you. And I would want to see you in a medical drama, because that would be really easy. And we don't have many medical dramas.
Maybe an Indian version of Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah. Who do we get as Mr. McDrooley then for you? Who should we?
Let the director decide. Let the director decide.
Okay. Looking forward. All the very best.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manushi. Lovely speaking to you. Bye.
Likewise. Bye-bye.